Hello. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. This recording is called Bloomscrolling, a deep therapeutic hypnosis for mood, emotional safety and gentle online living. Before anything else, you can take comfort in knowing that nothing is required of you here. There is no task, no goal, no expectations. You may hear the odd sound in the background from Vinny, my little dog. But that's okay. You can just allow that to drift away the more you relax. And just a simple experience of being allowed to rest without needing to improve or explain or perform. And already that permission alone can be enough to begin. And you may notice your body breathing before you consciously notice the breath. Because breathing happens best when it isn't interfered with. And as you listen, you may discover that part of you is listening closely, while another part of you drifts. And that's perfectly fine. And you may become aware of the places where your body meets support. The weight of your head, your back, your legs being held, and your nervous system, that invisible system that has worked so hard for so long, can begin to receive a message For now, you are safe. And safety is not something you can force. It's something that you allow to arrive. And you might notice muscles letting go in small increments, not all at once, not dramatically, but just enough. With a softening around your eyes, a release in your jaw, a loosening in your belly. And when your body softens, the emotional world often follows without needing to be told. And there may be feelings present, neutral feelings, unclear feelings, and you don't need to name them. You don't need to analyze them or move them anywhere. Because feelings, when allowed to exist, often reorganize themselves. Much like water finding its own level. And the part of you that may have been trying to cope, to manage, to hold things together, can rest too. Now, without effort, your awareness may begin to notice how attention moves, how it shifts, from one thing to another. And for many people, attention has learned to search for danger, for problems, for what needs fixing next. And that was never a flaw. It was a survival skill. And now your mind is learning that it also can notice what does not hurt. This is where the idea of Bloomscrolling begins. Not as a technique, but as a gentle permission. You might imagine that you are scrolling through moments, not dramatic moments, not emotional highlights, just small, ordinary, non-threatening experiences. A colour that feels easy on your eyes. A memory of a calm place. A sound that doesn't demand anything. And as each moment appears, your mind has permission to linger or move on. Nothing is compulsory. And something important happens here. Your nervous system begins to learn that attention does not always equal threat. That noticing can be safe, and that awareness can be gentle. And as this continues, another understanding may begin to form. That the online world does not automatically control you. That screens do not inherently harm, because it is the relationship with attention that matters. And your mind may begin to discover that when you are scrolling online, you do not have to absorb everything that you see. You do not have to emotionally enter every story. You do not have to react to every opinion. You also do not have to finish every thread. Because sometimes scrolling past is wisdom. Sometimes closing an app is kindness. Sometimes pausing is regulation. And your unconscious mind understands this without instruction. Now, you may begin to notice that mood is not who you are. Mood is something that moves through, like weather. And just as you don't argue with clouds or force the sun to appear, you don't need to argue with feelings. That's why Bloomscrolling allows mood to be held lightly. Not suppressed, not indulged, just allowed to pass while attention rests on what is neutral or kind or quietly supportive. And over time, this changes everything. And later, without trying, you may notice that your scrolling slows, that your clicking becomes more selective, that your tolerance for overload decreases in a healthy way. Almost as if your system says, that's enough for now. And you listen. Not perfectly, not always, just enough. And that is how regulation works. Now, there is nothing more to learn, nothing more to practice. Your unconscious mind has already understood. So you may drift now into deeper rest or sleep, or a quiet, floating awareness. And whatever happens is right. And Bloomscrolling continues even when you're not aware of it. Choosing softness, choosing safety, choosing rest. Again and again and again. And that is more than enough. Again